Right, let's turn to a story. We touched on this last week. Indeed, there's a story in one of your papers today, the Daily Telegraph. Labour fears election backlash from Muslims. Now, that was written last night, and more to support that has come in within the last few minutes. The Labour Party support amongst British Muslims has halved during this parliament, according to a new opinion poll, as criticism of the party's approach to the Gaza war widens. Data produced by the Labour Muslim Network, and you'll hear from the chair in just a moment, and Survation has unearthed these findings. Ali Milani, National Chair of the Labour Muslim Network, spoke with us, I think, as recently as last week, who joins us now. Good to have you on. This is very much then, as I think you almost called it, didn't you, accurately when we were speaking. Just remind the listeners, what is it down to, Ali, and what happens now? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Yes, I was privileged enough to join you last week. And I guess this is my point of being able to say I told you so to the whole world, because now we have conclusive evidence that the Labour Party is at a crisis point amongst Muslims. We've seen the support amongst Muslim communities halve, so from 86% vote share in 2019 to now 43%, so a drop of 43 points, which should be absolute alarm bells ringing. And I think it's clear now, as I have been saying for weeks and weeks now, that the Labour Party, we must listen and change tact if we are not going to lose the support of Muslim communities for an entire generation.
It's interesting, Ali. Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, the former Conservative Prime Minister, he went further than Labour last week by saying the UK is looking to recognise the Palestinian state. He's gone further than Labour on this, Ali.
It has, and I have to say, Nick, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that the Conservative Party were, briefing, and Lord Cameron had said a unilateral recognition of Palestine as a way to move peace negotiations, while Labour had rowed back on our policy and said we may, only look at recognition of Palestine as part of a peace negotiation. This is why we are in the crisis that we are. The poll also showed that 85% of Muslims are saying that when the upcoming general election comes, Israel and Palestine will be a critical part of how they decide to vote. So the Labour Party nationally is at a crisis point. Also, if I'm an MP and I'm sat in seats that have huge Muslim population, I would be massively anxious right now. This is an existential crisis. And it's clear what Labour needs to do. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and many have. They need to do what the Archbishop of Canterbury has done, what the Pope has done, what most political leaders around the world has done, and that's call for a ceasefire now. Indicate to Muslims that you care about the issues that they care about, because it's clear from this poll, it's clear from everything we've heard on the ground, and it's clear from every Muslim voice that you have pretty much heard from, that Muslims will not support any political party, be it Labour or Conservative, that do not see value and humanity in Palestinian lives.
Finally, and you sort of answered it already, Ali, but I'll say again, what do you say the message is from the Labour Muslim Network now to Sakir?
So to Sir Keir Starmer and the entire Labour front bench and leadership, I say, if you do not want to lose the Muslim community for a generation, if you do not want to throw seats into existential crisis, and just the moral case, you must call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. You must call for the recognition of a Palestinian state unilaterally and now. And you must begin to listen to 4 million Muslims in this country, because we have a stake in this country's future too. And people like me, people like Muslims all across the country, no longer feel safe and no longer feel that the political home of Labour, which has been, the Muslim community has been home to the Labour Party for a generation, we're at a crisis point of losing that.